Right, let's see. Good afternoon, everyone. It is Friday, which means it's time for us to stream. Let me double check we're actually live and something is actually coming out here. There we go. Looks like it, which is positive. So Ben here from Second Dynasty. It is Friday, which means we're having our regular stream. We're going to be looking at some new stuff today, which is nice. But before we get into that, and I say hello to the chat, I just wanted to let you guys know that we are still taking late pledges for our last Kickstarter campaign that ended, was it last week?
Yeah.
It feels like so much longer.
Yeah.
It's funny that with crowdfunding campaigns. Since then, we've had some nice late pledges, which has pushed us over the 700,000 crown mark, up into the 63,000 euro sort of zone, which is great because it'll make sure that usually there's some late some pledges that get dropped. Late pledges, I think, are instant transactions. So that's nice to have that sort of extra security and all that. So that's kind of out of the way. So let's look at the track. Blah blah blah. In the background, you might hear that Albin is with me today.
Woo!
John unfortunately had to go back to the United States of America.
Ooh.
We will miss you, John.
Yeah.
Although, yeah, it's going to be nice not to be tempted by all that delicious food all the time.
Oh.
Anyway, let us say hello to the chat. Hey, Tamsin, Solar Spirit, Neil, Il Lupo, Shergel, Anders. Nice to see you attending. Hopefully we'll have a nice little session. So, maybe you guys are wondering what's going on. We finished a campaign in the Traveller universe last week. And I have had a little bit of back and forth with Mongoose. One thing that I'm really excited for is this is the Gripen design, which I think was our last stretch goal, if I remember correctly. And I'm not a huge fan of it. And it turns out Mongoose isn't a massive fan of it either. So when I suggested that I kind of combine this deck plan layout with something that is like, you know, we'll capture the spirit of the old one in a sense. Like there's some design language that I might use. But I then said, you know, being named Gripen, it's quite obvious that the original author for the original Gripen was basing that maybe on the Saab Gripen, which, in case you are not familiar with aviation, is we're in Sweden. That's where our offices are. I'm a naturalized Swede. Albin is a genuine Swede. And the Saab Gripen is a homegrown fighter attack. Well, I guess it's hunter attack, like interceptor and attack plane, I guess is what you would call it. And I was like, well, why don't we put a bit of Saab DNA into that? So I'm kind of looking to integrate this kind of design with the Draken, or Dragon, which is another, like the Saab J35. So, yeah, I got approved for that, which I'm excited to work on in the future. But usually during this time, we usually, you know, do a little bit of maintenance. Like, for example, I've been sitting with bookkeeping this week. We've been talking about doing some catalog files, and actually I'm sitting with one now, which is a turret-based one. Because I realized the ship I was working on, I wanted some turret elements, and I just imported in the turrets that we first had in the Chimera Cerberus. You can see some of the large turrets there, a few different hatches and designs. So ideally we want to start creating some Maya scenes where we can just pluck out the components quite easily when we need them to create, you know, something new, and also to see what we actually have. One of the benefits of having been going for so long in this business is that we actually have a lot of geometry that we can repurpose or reuse. They can be great time savers, and if I'm being honest, like, I don't think we could produce the amount of content we do for Tribes every month if we had to do everything from scratch. But speaking of Tribes, that is kind of the subject for today's session, and we don't want our friends who follow us on Tribes and support us on Tribes to feel like we're neglecting it. It actually takes up probably close to a quarter of our time. Obviously, there's only so many hours in the month or whatnot, but since we have plans and designs for the end of the year and something new for next year, I don't want to get into all of that just yet. We do have something coming up before the end of the year, either late November or early December, with a new kind of tile system, you might say. We'll get into that later, but we have tested out a nice little game that John created. Yeah, we're not going to focus on that today. But we wanted to use this time to get out the designs for November and December so that we can focus 100% on getting the Fifth Frontier War vehicles done. So the figures are being farmed out and sculpted by some talented artists. So, for example, I could probably open this one, and you could see how the Imperial Heavy combat armor is coming along. So that I've approved this one. Now we have to do some changes to the back in particular because it kind of looked a little bit nappy-ish. That is diaper-ish for people maybe not familiar with the correct way to talk about it. I'm just teasing. It doesn't really matter which part of the world you're from, but in my part of the world we say nappies. And so, yeah, last week we got the Typhon out as well, or I guess actually it was Monday, because I said I'd get it out on Friday, and then I immediately went home, drank a beer, and forgot what I was doing. But yeah, so Typhon is out in its most primitive state. I've released it as 0.99 because all of the files are there. However, we don't have build plates and we don't have instructions in. That's on John. He's been given the files to start importing all of that into 3DO. It was a very lengthy process to sort it all out. And from there he will create instructions. So the full 1.0 version is still to come. But if you want to be an early adopter, I've neatly sorted everything into the correct folders. So if you just print one of everything in each of the folders, you should have the parts that you need. So yeah, I think, I want to talk about the Tribes. So last month we did, or this month rather, I guess, we did a cool sort of like, we're calling it the Yellow Machinery series, because we wanted, people had indicated in our past surveys that they want some dockside and mining style heavy equipment done in our sci-fi style. So Albin is actually doing a fantastic job creating what turned out to be a really cool little vehicle. Could we maybe get the semi-painted primary version out, and then I can switch to our close-up camera. You can see all my Benjaminons over there. You want to present it yourself? You couldn't help but do the little trailer.
Little trailer.
Why don't I hold that?
Go ahead.
So this is our sort of like little vehicle. It's actually got all three attachments it's supposed to have coming up all at once. So you can kind of see here. Here is the
mast.
It's a forklift.
Yeah.
Essentially. On the other one, you can kind of see this is from our power loader. So it's like you've got your power loader attachment, and then we have our bucket there, which is absolutely massive. So you can sort of do the whole dozer sort of approach to things. Ooh, that feels like it's loose now. So I really love this design, and I'll show you some 3D pictures as well, so Albin can. I'll do that. Someone mentioned it not being compatible with our tray or a trailer that we had for the other little one. So Albin just went ahead and decided, hey, I'll make it. It's better to show the renders, right?
Yeah, sure.
So if I just go into, let's go, we're in the right folder, we just need to go to images, and then, so last month was Big Bertha, which was this one. I really love this design as well, but obviously it is a bit beefier. And then we have the coming month's ones, and that would be this little fellow. So you can kind of see here what I'm talking about. We've got a couple of different angles here in the Dozer variant. The tracks aren't articulated, although they're nicely detailed, just so you guys aren't expecting it. Look, we've done tracks before when we did the Sandcrawler version of Chimera, and basically it needs to be about that size, which I guess is like this big, to actually be proper articulated with FDM printing, without, going in and putting in pins yourself or buying third-party parts. The general rule of thumb for us is, if it requires a third-party part, we're not doing that. That's why we don't do magnets. That's why, we're not really adapting. For light kits was more like making it compatible with a possible light kit, but we don't have the same kind of access anymore to that, and so we've got a couple more angles here. This is the version with the power loader arms on it. This is the version with the forklift arms on it. It's got this nice little squarish cockpit. I really love the profile of it. There's power loader arm. There's quite a few variants, so 4 different variants in total that'll be coming in November.
Oh yeah.
And this works great with any sort of sci-fi or even near future style machinery, right? I could even see it as being like some kind of alternative timeline, like Soviet material machines or something. I don't know.
That sounds fun.
Yes, and then we have what I'm working on, which is December, and at first we were considering this concept as maybe a multi-part ship, and then I was just like, nah, because this is kind of like a Christmas concept, because it kind of looks like something you could put in your tree. And this is it so far, and this is it with all the bells and whistles. But if we take away the set dressing here to get the more basic shape, it's actually, let me take the top off, a small vessel with 3 decks. You can kind of see our Expanse style cockpit up the top. It's kill deck A, look down in deck B, and this sort of like weird scaffolding here is kind of related to this new clip system. It is cross-compatible with all OpenLog stuff. We have that, but you can remove the tiles, so this will be coming up in the future. And then, just you can see where I'm planning to put the airlock in there, sort of like a little engine room that'll just be mostly fuel, I think, and tankage. And then, of course, if you wanted this on your table, and just not to detail the inside, I can see using this sort of thing to pretend it's some kind of, Battletech drop ship or something like that. I really kind of like how the feet are looking at the moment.
It's like it's spreading its toes or something.
Yeah, so this is what I've been working on for the last day or so. And that's the kind of crazy thing. This is just like, because we have this huge database, and mind you, this is my latest version here of the RCS clusters. I noticed that the handholds weren't really updated to modern standards. There was some geometry that was off a bit, and I wanted to add a little bit more color, give it a bit more of an industrial look. So this is the sort of result. It's probably a bit bright in here too now, so I could turn off the lighting so it's a little bit, more dampened. Toned down, I guess. Yeah. And I also it's just going to have these ports on the side, which will be turret ports, I think. So you could either add windows, It kind of has, like, if you ask me, a little bit of a Close Encounters of the Third Kind sort of like feel to it at the moment. So yeah, how are people thinking? So it is kind of broadswordy. It will be slightly larger than the 1 to 270 broadsword, I'd say. How wide is a good question. Let me No one actually asked that. I'm curious myself. So I'd say it looks like it's about 7.5 inches in diameter. Because we got 5 there. You could easily put another one there. Yeah, I'd say 7 to 7.5 inches in diameter. Let's see. Let's see what people are saying in the chat. I've been talking for a long time now.
Sputnik.
Sorry, Sputnik. Yeah, I can see that.
Also, red and blue clear resin something.
What?
I think for ornament.
Oh, right, yeah, you could do that. Oh, like you're talking about Christmas ornaments, right? Yeah. The spikes reminds you of the Sputnik. Gridforge made it clear the scale was larger. Could make a good squad drop pod. Yeah. 2001 moon shuttle. Was it a ball shuttle? I can't remember that. But yeah, so this is basically what I've been working on, and honestly, getting this collection of turrets together is kind of just about like finding the right adapters for what to put on. I kind of want to put like a turret on the top. I haven't decided what the final form will be. Right, so this is kind of what I call the block out phase. With the right paint, I can make a Sputnik. The master of puns is here again. You can kind of see where I've put the most attention to detail in at the moment. I haven't even like gotten this to a printable state, but even like here with the rocket engines, if I turn on my workshop, we can take a look at the old style, because I ripped these off Sleipnir, but even look at the detail we had on Sleipnir and compare it to the detail we have on these new ones. Just like a little bit of a change can make a huge impact on like how interesting a shape can be. And all of this is thanks to the thorough development of the feat from Typhon in particular, where we learnt a lot about what we can get away with structurally versus detail for something that's meant to hold up the ship. So yeah, I thought this would be a neat little experiment, and you can kind of see here how I just dump parts into my scene, and then I just essentially raid them for different parts. Like this is a part of the Sleipnir. So if you were here last week looking at me doing like the basics of a pirate ship, I just wanted to talk long term what we're thinking. So can we share pictures on Discord of our various printer setups? I mean, I guess so. They're not that advanced.
Do you want me to photo or
yeah,
setup?
yeah. Dalton wants a picture of the setup in the cellar.
In the cellar?
Yeah,
Oh, no.
I'm quite sure you'll be disgusted by
Yes.
it. I haven't seen it. I haven't been down to the cellar since we got it.
It's even worse now.
It's the
protective plastic
yeah.
has fell down.
It looks like something that would have been in Space 1999. I take that as a compliment. That sounds like a compliment. So yeah, what else? Or perhaps do a stream describing our configuration. Honestly, the thing is that you got to remember, we're artists, and actually 50% of the reason why I want John to come back every year is so we can tune our printers, because we are not good. We should be better, but both Albin and I have a background in animation and 3D modeling, not really 3D printers. So I'm not we managed to get out some decent prints, but we don't know what we're doing really. So we're not the best example there. I'd say if you want some good examples, Dalton, that's I'd ask that on our Discord for sure, for people to share their different setups. But John's the best printer I Alright, what else was I going to do? Yeah, I just want to figure out what more. You can kind of see a few turrets. I'm not sure I've shown them all for at least for a while. So these are the Mark 23 turrets, but this is the sort of like underside version. I'm not sure I ever released this one because it's it was made for the Hammerhead, and I haven't released that. So we're looking to do Grid Forge either at the end of November, which is extremely close, I know. It would just be a Frontier, or December. So that will be the next thing, and then probably in about February, I want to do something different, and I haven't 100% made up my mind yet, but I kind of want to test BackerKit as a crowdfunding platform. It's somewhere new, and Persephone is still happening. The thing is, Persephone is such a large ship that I don't want... If I did that in February, we're going to really be pushing the company to sort of push it out too early, rather than focusing on it as much as we possibly can. So I kind of want to wait until like May with that, is our current plan. And then sometime in the summer we'd probably do, like towards the end of the summer, sort of like August, September, that's when we would be looking to do another Traveller themed campaign. Although we don't know at all what it will be yet. We still need to analyze and see how we did in the last campaign. But in general, it has been a positive development, which is nice. It seems like we might have found a way to make Traveller work well for us. And I've been pleasantly surprised by how much freedom Mongoose has been willing to give us a little bit creatively. Let's see. Looking forward to seeing the Persephone. Yeah, I haven't been actively working on Persephone for a long time, mostly because I figured once Typhon was done, I'd have a good base to sort of expand from there. So the idea is Persephone is supposed to be a little bit more modular. I don't want to call it modular, because it's going to have like a detailed hull that is kind of specific to its shape, but it will probably be more expandable. Like working on Typhon, I realized pretty quick, yeah, okay, we could lengthen it, we could widen it, but there's not much more. It's kind of, you have to do it at the waistband. You're not making the legs longer, so to speak.
Relatable.
Relatable, yeah. So yeah, I haven't figured out the deck plan exactly. Probably you want some living quarters or cargo in there. Accessing the ship would be through an airlock up here. It's probably quite inconvenient, to be honest. So I was thinking of having a little hatch down the bottom there that you could just get out in an emergency sort of situation. But ideally you'd want to avoid these engine nozzles. So, looks like my mini factory has fallen over again. I can't access your store. I just try hitting refresh. Clive, it is a point of frustration for all of us on the platform. My mini factory is the new Maya.
Mm-hmm.
Is an internal joke we've been making. Yeah, just it feels like there's a lot of basic features that need to be addressed and fixed, rather than adding new content.
It's a bit unfortunate with Maya. It should have a harsher name, because then you could use it like a swear word in everyday life.
Yeah, I don't know. I kind of feel like I use it as a swear word anyway.
Yeah, but it sounds meek.
It sounds meek. Albin is upset.
Yes.
Well, you can take your outrage back home with you tonight. So yeah, I kind of like the shape. We still want to make it practical, and basically in this frame is where you'll be able to do things. You can kind of see on deck A where the limitations will be. These aren't all actually grid forge tiles. They're just like in the correct height and position, roughly, of where they're supposed to be. I probably should have imported one actually to double check. Let's see. Regarding the ship concept from last month, it was a beautiful idea and it would complement Sleipnir in the best way. If you could think about small crafts style ship would be great. Yeah, this is what I wanted to say. Like in February, I want to do a backer kit campaign, and in that we would have a new Expanse style pirate ship. We would have, and then that would basically be the new content. Quite a small ship, like half the size of Sleipnir maybe, as you guys will see. Maybe something along those lines as well to add a bit of customability, and then we would probably like relaunch at the same time Sleipnir and maybe even put in Typhon and Erebus and maybe the Hammerhead, just as a sort of like a large selection for people that haven't backed our stuff before. We think we might be hitting a new audience. And we do have some updates for those things that are quite close to being ready. But, you know, I know it's not the most exciting thing. So there would be a new ship, some new content for people that haven't backed, and maybe we would even squeeze in some of those Ox Starlifter variants that I was working on, like the Mammoth and that sort of thing. So yeah, we'll see. I don't want to promise too much, but basically February too, we know it's like a time where people are struggling financially, although nowhere near as bad. It's like basically, you know, from the end of next month until the end of February, people are in general kind of strapped for cash between, you know, winter bills, Christmas, Thanksgiving if you're in the US. Is Thanksgiving celebrated in Canada, Dalton? I'm not sure. In any case, that's a rough idea about what we're expecting. But like tribes-wise too, I just wanted to show people what we're doing in the long term, and actually moving forward, we'd really like to make sure people have a decent idea about what's coming up, so that they can confidently say like, okay, I don't need to worry about unsubscribing and resubscribing next month. I know what's coming, you know, that sort of thing. Has a Thanksgiving, but not on the same date. All right. Monday, November 14th. Okay, so it's like 2 weeks earlier, basically. 10 days, something like that. All right. It's too cold to travel. All right, so it's a practical thing. That kind of makes sense. I would be certainly looking to get the Erebus. That is a beauty. Neil, if you don't want to work, you can still grab that. Sorry, if you don't want to wait. If you don't want to work, I've got a solution.
Financial
you can just, well, maybe my mini factory won't work. Let's see if I can duplicate this thing. Where is it? I was looking at the old Beowulf campaign there, by the looks of things. Let's duplicate this. Let's see if I get a 503. No, it's working for me. Right. Yeah, campaigns is where I wanted to go. So Soul Survivor, the late pledge, is still open on my mini factory. So if you want to get an Erebus now, you can. And I think, I don't know if John's actually opened up to new orders if you want to get a physical print done. But let's see. This should be to the campaign, so I can link to it. Wait, is it playing up? Oh, I forget that my mini factory links can take forever. This is working for me, must always be followed by closing a bug. I mean, that might explain the situation. Dalton is in the middle of getting hooked up to a bunch of machines and making mistakes.
Oops.
Oh. Yeah, I hope that's going alright, mate. That sounds like a bit of a pain in the backside, to be fair. Yeah, this just isn't doing anything. So I thought maybe I could copy the link, but that doesn't seem to be an option either. So, you know what? We can get the link from Kickstarter instead. And here, actually, if I go to our Soul Survivor campaign, you can click the late pledge link. So I can put that in there. That'll work if you want to get Erebus earlier. Well, eventually. In any case, we weren't doing that. We're talking about this little thing. So, yeah, I don't know about all these antennae, but they are based on the ones from Typhon, so they can actually sort of fold up. Whoops, that is not how I wanted that to work. Okay, it's all aligned quite wonkily.
Is it to the world or?
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Maybe the rotation tool needs.
Component, object. Yeah, I don't know what's going on there. Reset. I feel like one of these might be oriented correctly. Oh no! It looks like I might have. I don't know. Something's not right here. That one. Yeah, okay. In any case, they could technically fold up. At the moment, they're not aligned correctly, so I guess I could very quickly align this. If I realign this pivot point and move it. I'm feeling more chatty than creative today, if I'm being honest.
Sounds fun.
It kind of feels like a rainy day at school where you got a substitute teacher. I don't know why.
I'm not the substitute teacher, am I?
No, you're not teaching today. I was like, I should not be mean here. Whoa, that threw off again immediately. What is going on? I don't know. It could be a duplication issue. I don't want to deal with that right now, but basically they can flip up if you need them to. The idea too is that this comes off here. So this is not the final form. It is a bit silly. But I want to create a bunch of options. Derivative content says, how many antennae does it need to be officially dubbed the porcupine? Probably at least another 2 rows, right? Yeah. Like Albin's just like, yep. It looks like a huge space mine. Oh, that's interesting. That's interesting. So yeah, that's right. I was going to look for one of these things. So I think at the very least I want an airlock from one of these. So I'm going to grab this one, and I'll grab this one too. So why not this one too? And this one. There we go. I'm just going to import these ones in, put them on my workshop layer, which I'll open up again. And yeah, we'll just see what we can do. So what is that? Is it a big ball or something? This black thing. Yeah, it looks like we don't really need that, so I'm just going to move it over for now. And I just want to see how much clearance I actually have with this. And I need to put on my snaps for rotation. So we've got sort of a Traveller style iris here. So it might be like... Really I'm just in the planning phase, like this isn't putting it all together, it's just like figuring out, okay, well, will this work? That'd be quite fun. Let's see. So, and the hatches I want for basically these things. So, the idea being that you could have airlocks, and here I kind of need to align it. I've been playing a lot of astronauts lately, so now I've kind of got the like airlock lighting up thing stuck in my head all the time. So, is that... There's a 1 in 4 chance that this was the correct area for the existing airlock I have in here, but there's just a lot of... Okay. So it was incorrect. It needs to be on the next side. Okay. So, yeah, just what I call a block out, right? So, it's a term used in computer game design as well, and 3D modeling. Basically, a digital sketch of sorts. Let's see, you missed the start of the stream. What ship is this? Well, I've kind of got a working title of Hyperion Sphere. Hyperion is one of the titans from Greek myth. It's December Tribe's release, and it is a little ship. You can kind of see here the scale, about 7 to 7.5 inches in diameter. If you didn't want to put the inside, it might be a nice substitute for some kind of landing ship from various different universes. And this is very much inspired by the broadsword, or like the sort of like drop ships from BattleTech, that sort of thing. And technically it's a vertical ship, so it would be a nice little compliment if you did, if and when we did the Expanse thing. So technically, it's a fat little lady. I love it. The belter ball, I like that. The space urchin. So yeah, it just it's a fun little design, but I like how quickly it's sort of coming together. It's more a question of like, what do we put into it? And these floor tiles, because it is based on what is it, GridForge, you'll just be able to hot swap these out for whatever you need. And look out for those Benjaminans. Right, where was I at? I just put the airlock in, but it is there, right? So if I just turn off that, we can now see it's outside that, and technically I would probably want to move it so that the detail of the airlock is back here somewhere. One of the reasons I moved this out is just because I wanted to give you guys the full ball effect. But you would have your airlock like there. Instead of having that door that it has at the moment, we would have this sort of more turret-based hatch, I guess. So in its current form, not a great cargo ship, because if you've got a limited amount of space you can get stuff through. It'll have ladder wells, so it's not really all that friendly. If you know, you need to be able to climb, I guess, or move in 0G. So it looks fun. Yes, says Mod Hale. Don't invoke the Benjamin, and someone will paint/mod one into a giant Benjamin head. Oh. Yes. Yes, he likes that. He likes that, I think. So let's remove that from that layer. And maybe we need to go up. There we go. And if we turn on our set dressing, which is our flippy floppies. So yeah, we'd have like a connection kind of like that, I guess. And then my idea is to have sort of like turret rings at each of these sections. We could almost like start investigating putting that in. But probably with this port shape, because if we don't have that, I mean, it will be not that optimal because there's going to be areas that we need to bridge in there. Also, it means a tighter turret port. Let's see, it could work great as an iterant tramp trader, like a mobile supermarket going between outposts selling food, drinks, magazines, like A mobile bodega. Kind of like that noodle barge from The Fifth Element. Yeah, and you could have airlock ports on each sort of area, so you dock with it and you go into the rest. I kind of like that. If I'm being honest. Maybe not this version, but it that'll be great. Yeah, I like that. I do. That's a great idea. We've had a lot of laughs lately at the office, which has been nice. And no, it's not because John's gone. We miss John. But yeah, I'm wondering if I have any turret rings already in my workshop here. I don't think so. Doesn't look like it. I haven't thought that far ahead. So nothing up here. Let's close that off again. And what I could actually do, ironically I have like all of these turrets starting to get set up in here, but not the actual, oh wait, I need to make sure my project's right. Yeah, it's correct. So if I go change my project to, yeah, let's go back to Starship 6 and we'll take it from the Erebus. No, the Typhon. Open scene, Typhon. It's a beautiful ship. I kind of miss working on it because it was so fun, but also it's nice to have done. And it's really striking, sitting on the table over there. Yeah, it's something I'm proud of. So I think we might just have to paint it up eventually. Get it all nice and pretty. So here we should be able to get this turret ring, I'm thinking. Is that a proper turret ring though? Kind of closed off, but that is the only other option we have in here. So I'm going to say yes. And we'll just grab this one. So there we go. That's a nice thing with copy and paste being available. I might actually close this one off, just not to hog too much memory. And alright, so that had crashed for a second. I just need to delete these unused groups. And really all we want probably is just this outside area. It looks like the actual turret ring itself is actually in quite good shape. And yeah, all we need is this part. Maybe we'll separate that because there's some interesting greebles in here we might be able to reuse. Greeblies, Nernies, whatever you want to call them. But ideally, I want to get to a point where you could like put a window in there. Oh, that's one of the things I was going to look at from the hammerhead. I'll open my back up on the side. How long from the noodle barge? Let's see. So that's the top part. Let's get that aligned. Oh. Okay. Trying to just figure out what this ring thing really is or was doing. So I'm guessing if we move that so it's parallel to being flat with that thing, that should be where it normally would be located. Oh great, the geometry is disappearing. I love that. This is one of those Maya bugs I was talking about. Not the worst one by any stretch, but annoying. So we've got plenty of copies of this thing. I'm just going to duplicate this to make sure we have a proper one here. And I'm going to duplicate this one so we can stick that in our workshop somewhere. Just so that we have these meshes available in case we want to reuse them. Let's combine these, delete this face. What am I looking at? Wait, did I put it in backwards or something? What is going on there? Oh, okay. It was this one that was confusing me. So we need to take out the inside of this. And then we should be able to recombine that with. Is that it? Looks like it. What? Was I editing the wrong one? I don't know what I'm doing. All this time. Okay, no, the bottom here is what we want to take out. So let's take out that edge. And technically we should be good to make this all sort of work. Let's just extrude that one back to there. Hopefully this is the same amount of sides and we can just bridge this. Oh, would you look at that. And we do the same here, there to there. That one didn't work. Okay, that's annoying. So the outer side is not matching up. So we just do a single bridge. Close that off, do a fill, and then we do the good old triangulate to make it kind of work. And then maybe we'll quadrangulate what we can, but it's kind of ugly. But this at least will now be compatible with our turrets. Let's duplicate this one as well and add that to our workshop as a backup, and then we can start looking at integrating these two together. Well, it would help if this was actually centered, although this will make this kind of like stick out, I guess. What did it look like again with our let's see. Oh, that's right. I was opening Maya in the other thing too. So I wanted to go back to Starship 3, I think. So let's find that. Set. And then we go open. And we want to look at Scout Ship Beta Variants 2023, which is actually now 2024. So yeah, some stuff I was looking at. I think in the holidays. Da, 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 da. So here is what we had for a hammerhead. And you can kind of see it's in the process of being updated for modern standards to be print friendlier, and also a standalone ship. You can kind of see here this is actually wider than our other variants. Here is our regular style width with the cargo area that's 2 wide, 2 inches wide, or 2 squares, whatever you want to call it. And then in here we should have, maybe in workshop, you can kind of see where the Beta Centauri was. But here I could have sworn that we had like is this it? No. Yes. Here we go. Another thing to add to our sort of turret collection there is this window frame. That's what I was thinking of. That this could be a possible option for the ship if you wanted to have a little viewpoint. But I could swear there was a flat one as well. I'm not sure what happened to it, or if it's underneath something. I'm not sure. Maybe the top needs to be on as well. I don't see it anywhere. This scene is like a massive mess. You can see. And then I've got a bunch of ships that are actually hidden from view. This is also the beta Centauri. Sorry, no, the original beta that's in the process of being converted to sort of like an updated version. But yeah, the hammerhead can kind of see all these extra parts that are sort of like just work in progress. But mostly this is the part I was thinking of. Although I could have sworn there was a flat version of this. Clearly I am incorrect. Or maybe it's some hidden geometry. Let's see, we could maybe unhide these. You can see how heavy this scene is getting at the moment with all of the old beta variants in it. Some of the shaders are not showing up well either. But okay, it's this one. Let's find where it is. Hammerhead standalone. And then you've got this older folder. So what if we isolate these and see if there's anything hiding? Hello window, are you anywhere? Because I kind of want this structure, and obviously it looks like I've repurposed a part of the window from, I want to say that this is from maybe Cerberus? It's not great, it would require supports. You'd always like to see more modular cutout options. I don't know if we can do that anymore. It's like, will Mongoose support that? Because it's a different style, right? So, I don't know. In any case, I'm going to copy this one and we'll stick it in our scene, and we have to delete that layer and then find a way to sort of port it in so we can look and see what this looks like as a window. And we should probably be sure while we're here to get rid of some of this other junk. This is something I really need to start doing, because every time you import something it says pasted in the name. It's really annoying. It creates a bunch of useless groups. Let's see, let's just call it turret well window. Nice and simple. And let's move it over to our little port here. So let's see, got about 8 minutes left of the regular stream. Now obviously this design is not going to work with this one because if it's fully integrated and not split, which I would be inclined to do. I think this wall can be full scale. I think. Yeah, I think so. If you do make a bodega ship, make sure it has a place for a cat. Maybe our space cat finally needs a home. Because we do have a space cat. Koyoshinico modeled for us. It would have a little window there. That's kind of cute. That's kind of cute. The other thing too is like this needs to be split up into quarters anyway. The question is, which side? Okay, it's got one central overlock, but that's not great. We probably want. I probably want to do a variant of this which actually has a few more options for placement. One is good, but that kind of means that we want. Oh, actually, no. This kind of makes sense. This kind of makes sense if we make the split down the middle here. No. Then there's no bridging, it's overhang. So what I'm trying to figure out is what is the optimal shape for putting in these turret rings. And I'm wondering if maybe we should just have like a full wall, but then like a half wall to complete the turret ring. That might be a better option, or like a 3/4 wall or something. So we're not doing those crazy overhangs. But this would still be a clip-in style window. In any case, we have saved this geometry. Why don't we cut it up into pieces for now? Can figure out the rest later. So I'm just going to do a cut. I'm going to do a separate so that we can get this as a separate object. And then we're going to look at how we're going to integrate this. So we've got our turret ring. This is not something I would recommend as a Boolean operation. Not really great to do manually. I don't know what I'm going to do here actually. Maybe it does have to be a Boolean operation. It's just a case of maybe it needs to be a series of them. I know. I'm going to duplicate this. I'm just going to grab this edge like so. Oh, why is that selecting an entirely separate object? Delete that. Move this one back into place. So it was like, where was it? That's where it was when it was sticking out, right? So if I've gone to is it not actually sticking out enough? No, I deleted the wrong part. Okay. Duplicate again. Isolate again. Select around here. And now my keyboard's switching languages.
Oh.
Let's delete that. Let's delete, actually I'm just gonna grab around this edge. We're gonna do one extrusion, like so. And then everything else other than this, I'm going to invert the selection and delete. Because this becomes our sort of Boolean object. So, in theory, if we close off all of these, we need to close off down the bottom too. Actually, we should technically just be able to select there to there, and then do a bridge. Oh, I'm shocked that didn't work. Alrighty. Making sure there's no very small geometry there that we're missing. So yeah, if we just fill this, and usually it's a good idea when you do a control object like this. I call it a control object, but basically it's not a control object at all. It's like a dummy object to sort of like work around. It's like a tool, I guess. So we want to get this object and we want to Boolean out this one. Let's delete the history first, then go to I think it's in create, no? Mesh booleans, and then we want a difference AB. You can see there it's done a circular cutout. Booleans can be quite nasty. They've gotten a lot better in recent editions of Maya, but you can kind of see here where the real issue is. We've got all of these nasty faces. But in this case, I think we just have to accept our fate. I've got that extra geometry, and there we go. We've got our little window that, you know, we could integrate these two objects together quite nicely, and they would print okay. Let's see, we need a beacon model, a psionic monkey with a parrot's beak, the traveller equivalent of a ship's cat. Okay. I mean, what is it, 46 years of Traveller, there's been a lot of crazy stuff apparently. Let's get rid of this wall, because I want to see what it looks like if we just take this, and then we're even going to duplicate this. Actually, let's combine these first. Mesh, combine, and then we're just going to duplicate special. And I'm doing that with a shortcut just so that when I work on one part of this ship, it's going to be mirrored to the next part. So for example, if I want to create a whole panel here, you can see it's also being done on this side. So before we get rid of too much, we can get rid of this ring now. We're left with this one. instead. Obviously we need to take out that airlock. Let's just do that for now so that we don't have any geometry in the way. And then you can kind of see too that this radar dish now matches as well. And you would potentially have another window over there. So in any case, you can kind of see the progress. I don't know how long I'll spend on this thing, but it's one of those things where it'll be quite a large ship, but thanks to the last year or so of work and being able to pinch things from different designs, it should be able to be done in what we allot for a Tribes release, which is usually a 5-day build. In reality, it can be up to 10 days, but that's what we aim for. The ship's cat, though, in the Tribes. Yes, we do have a ship's cat, the delivery one. That's right. In any case, yes, I'm going to wish you all a happy weekend because it is Friday, or Friday, as me and the wife call it. And we're going to have a wonderful weekend, and I'm sure you guys will as well. So, for now, this is Ben from Second Dynasty, signing off. Have a wonderful weekend, everyone. Bye.
Bye bye.